let's get the show on the road. Welcome to Overwatch, and welcome to another episode of Coaching the Many. This time we're going to be talking all about Bastion, everyone's favourite Omnic killing machine robot thing. Yeah, he's kind of an interesting hero. We got a game that is sort of high silver. A lot of players in it that are been in gold and probably dropped down around there. This always confuses me because I'm used to playing in ranks where you don't get to keep the badge. But yeah, this is sort of a silver, gold, silver level game. I think. Oh Jesus. Anyway. We're going to be talking a lot about Bastion. We're also going to talk about some of the reasons why Bastion might not quite be as strong as people expect. I know when he got buffed a while ago, received like the Ironclad buff, received changes to how recon mode works. People were expecting Bastion to really come in strong, and he did for a little while, and then he got nerfed a little bit back down and sort of got a cap on how much damage reduction he could have. So yeah, he's kind of just sort of faded back away, and Soldier 76 still going strong. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Otherwise, let's get to work. Gilver and Sold. That sounds about right. Okay, let's go. So the game has been sent in by beautiful Arcathor, long-time subscriber. Sent in a couple of games as well. He has a habit of picking these very sort of unique and niche heroes, and he seems to have gravitated towards Bastion now. Bless him. Bless him. Frustrate his teams. First things first, let's look at our team lineup. Let's think about Dorado and our team lineup. It's always a good place to get started. So, this is actually a really fucking solid team. This is actually a really good team. I don't have Epic Pen open. Let me get Epic Pen open. Let's go to my face for a second. Oh god, I just cut that off as well. Thundercleese. That's actually a beautiful name. Welcome. Using that beautiful Twitch Prime sub. Remember, for the YouTube benefit, I guess, if you want a golden loot box, and if you're curious what a golden loot box is, it's a loot box where you don't get duplicates and you have a guaranteed legendary, and you have Amazon Prime. That means you also have Twitch Prime. That means you can get a free Twitch Prime sub, and it means you could also get the shiny golden loot box. And you'll get like, I think 5 loot boxes next month as well, because Twitch and Blizzard are partnered up, which is really nice. Really nice. But yeah, this is actually a really fucking solid comp. You basically have like 2 mobile forms of DPS, and it's worth mentioning, by the way, that I think this game was recorded pre-current patch, so pre-Roadhog nerf. Hey! Wildcard, beautiful. Some man indeed. Thank you, Wildcard. It's always appreciated. But yeah, otherwise you got the good sturdy tank, you got lots and lots of healing as well, and then you got the Bastion as well, just to tear stuff apart. This is actually really fucking strong. I quite like this team lineup. And I quite like it on Dorado as well, because the idea here is that you can have a you could have the Mercy, Reinhardt, and Bastion combo just sitting around, and then you can have the Roadhog and Soldier 76 moving around. Then if you need power, you have a nano visor available. That's really fucking good. So yeah, feels pretty strong. Yeah, Arcathor's just confirmed pre-Reaper buff game. So Reaper buff, Roadhog change. I won't really say Roadhog nerf. I have a lot of thoughts on Roadhog's changes. I'm very positive on it, basically. But no huge surprises of where we're starting. I'd honestly say that this is a bit too far forward. So taking a step or two back, because the danger of this is that the Reinhardt can't cover you properly. And like your nose will stick out, and that's not good. You don't want your nose sticking out. You notice the Reinhardt has to get super close to the edge. I don't think you'd be too remiss just taking a step or two back, but honestly, just gunning out is fine. Might have been tempted, like, I'm always tempted with Bastion to say that just be careful with your first shot, because the second you fire, you've got to consider this as sort of, this is true for Widowmakers as well, I find. The volume is interesting in Overwatch, okay? So the enemy team's noises are generally a lot louder than your team's noises. So the Bastion firing sound, get ready, you're going to hear that a lot this game, is relatively quiet on your team. But when it's on the enemy team, if Bastion so much as left clicks for a second, and this is why I tilt like crazy if a Bastion left clicks in spawn or left clicks before the gates have opened, because it means the enemy team instantly knows that there's a Bastion. Widowmaker's the same. Her rifle has a very loud crack sound when she fires on the enemy team, and you will know instantly when they have a Widowmaker. So just being a little bit careful with that initial shot. I'd say that you're okay just putting a bit of spam down here. Part of me thinks that, you know, it might be worth just waiting until something pokes around here that you can really do damage to, because at this distance it's not quite worth it. But we have the damage amp, we still get Zenyatta down to half, and honestly right now There's a Diva. Okay, that's a problem. Let's just burn through as much defense matrix as possible. This is actually a really nice behavior from the Roadhog. I'd say that he's a little bit too far out here. He can afford to just hang around up in sort of this high ground area up here. Just sort of bounce back and forth up here. But him just roaming around trying to pull people around, if you can pull the Diva, for example, we can kill it very easily. If you can pull the enemy Roadhog, we can kill it. Anything he catches, we can basically get a free kill with, which is extremely nice and extremely effective. Otherwise, we're just laying down the law, and honestly, we are fine doing this. If you aren't aware of Dorado's standard tactics, you generally want to wait until the payload starts getting about up to the top of the hill. So about to where this fire hydrant is, that's a good signal for you to start pulling back round and then defending the area properly. Enemy team is starting to pull around. This is where we have to be a little bit cautious. We want to keep our ears peeled, or our ears open, I guess. I don't know if you can peel an ear. I guess you can. A bit gross. We want to make sure that we're not getting too surrounded at the moment. Well, it's just keeping pressure on anything on the payload. Like this Roadhog again is doing what he really needs to be doing. And if you're playing with a Bastion, this is the sort of behavior you should be doing. Using the Bastion to find openings, because the enemy team can't walk around like this. This whole area here in front of this Bastion is just like a dead zone where the enemy team cannot really fight. So this Roadhog is actually a lot freer than you'd think to be able to just run around and do this. And especially because Diva's peeled up here. That means that this guy is now free to do whatever he wants. You can just roam around and try and get some damage done. If he hooks anyone, we can kill it, basically. So even if he was post-nerf, we'd still be fine doing this. He does eventually get picked off. And this is where, like, I'd like to see the Soldier doing more as well. The Soldier should be controlling space up here and just making sure that the Diva's getting punished. But this is where, it'd be nice if the Reinhardt communicated with us a little bit about him moving. But especially now that the payload's about here, this is where we should be moving. Because if you wait this long, the problem with waiting just until it's, like, already at the choke, like here, is that by the time you've moved all the way around, this payload has gone through and it's already past the choke point. It's like you're trying to set up and fight at the same time. That's not ideal. So moving a little bit earlier than that works out a lot better. The Reaper manages to get the sneak in, and then we decide to ultimate. Honestly, I quite like this ultimate. Like, I think this ultimate actually saves the mistake of not moving faster. I have all the chats muted. Ah! Okay. I would not do that. Even if you're worried about trolling, and even if you never intend to say a word, keep the chats open, give people the benefit of the doubt, and then mute them if there's a problem. I have no real issue with people muting after stuff has happened, but if someone's saying anything relevant or anything useful, it's very much worth having it. Just in this instance, by the way, I'm okay with the drop down, but when Diva does this, it's a good idea just to close the gap, get as close as possible, just so you can react, like, it gives her no reaction time. Also, what ends up being quite nice if you do something like that is if you see a situation where the Zenyatta, for example, is here, and you just peel up right into his face, there's actually a good chance that you can sneak a shot through. The defense matrix has to be very tight over you, and Divas, especially at this rank, I imagine, are not going to be great at doing that. We are dead as dodos, though, and this is purely sort of out of the back of us not moving fast enough. We do manage to get the kill on the Zenyatta, and now we can just sort of tank up. With an Ana and a Mercy, like, we can afford to just tank around. I would have honestly just stayed in recon mode here, I think, rather than just going into turret. I think the recon mode damage is enough, and I think if the enemy team focused you properly, then we would never be able to get a shot off here. So I think we kind of luck out a little here. And honestly, like, I think just the extra mobility as well, like, if we just stay on this side with the Mercy healing us and try and peel around, if Diva tries to turn and shoot us, then Soldier 76 can kill him in the back, Roadhog can kill him in the kill her in the back. It just basically makes Diva's defense matrix weak because we peeled, like, we've turned her away, or she ignores us and then we just kill her in the back as well. There's always a good possibility with that. It's a good rest by their team. Hook pulls us out and instantly dead. So, they have a Roadhog, they have a Reaper. That's a problem for us, that's scary for us. If fights start getting close range, we're going to have real problems, and I think this is where we need to start valuing recon mode a little bit more, because honestly, it's actually not too bad. And the thing with Reaper and Roadhog, especially post-nerf now with Roadhog, is that with Reaper, let's use Reaper as a baseline. The first two shots are not going to be that scary, and they're not going to be that scary because of this. This here. This here is your armor bar. You have a lot of armor. You have 100 armor. It's still a relatively chunky amount of armor. It takes about 2 Reaper shots to blow through that. Then the third Reaper shot will come in, and that's when it starts fucking hurting a lot. But that first 1 or 2 shots. Like if it's really close range, 1 shot will probably peel the armor off. But if he's, you know, a little bit further, about 5 to 10 meters away, it's going to take both shots to sort of really peel that armor away. Engaging long range against Zenyatta, never going to work out for us. Honestly, I will be using this time to try and get back to the high ground. Positioning is kind of everything with Bastion, because you do not reposition quickly. You reposition better than you used to, but you definitely don't reposition fast. And you'll find that if you go into positions like this, when we're trying to fight, you are going to be spending like half your time just repositioning. So we're trying to shoot him, moving around, we're self-healing again, we're getting behind the Reinhardt, and we're so close to the enemy team that they can just kind of run into us. Now we're sort of running away again for no clear reason when we could be just following this Reinhardt around a bit and shooting. We come back out, we deploy, we instantly have to hide again. Now we have to tank again. Luckily, guy gets a good ultimate. That's a bad miss. And then we should be able to just clean up here. Just a highlight with this. Nothing wrong with shooting here on the stairs. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Do people actually have Bastion's DPS numbers? 140 to 525 DPS, depending on distance. There you go, 525 DPS at close range. Oh, that's a waste of... Oh, that's beautiful. That's lovely. Ah, the sweet relief. This position I do not like. I do not like this in the slightest. Okay, let's talk about why this is a bad position. Like, let's sort of get to the fundamentals of why this is a bad position. Bastion is very good at fighting threats coming from a single direction. Okay, if the threat is coming directly at you, he's really good at that, because he can just hold down left mouse button. He's got 300 bullets, as you can see, all the way over there. You can just hold down left mouse button, and then everything dies, and you get play of the game, and it's fucking amazing. You outskilled them like crazy. But what ends up happening is if you're too close to them, for example, or if they have multiple approaches, you will spend time shooting at someone, they'll hide away, and then someone will shoot you from the side, so you have to turn and try and deal with that, and then someone will shoot you from this side, so you have to turn and deal with that, and someone will shoot you from this, you have to turn and deal with it. You're constantly like, and you can't deal with everything, and that's bad. So why is this position bad? Well, if you take that logic that I've just sort of gone over, and we think about how this little area works, if I just try and draw a quick schematic of it up here, we have a sort of the archway here, we have an archway here, there's the wall here, the payload is here, we are here, and so there's a pathway around here that people can go through. There's a pathway here that people can go through, there's even a pathway further over here that people can go through. And if you think about the area that we can cover, if you like think of like a Metal Gear Solid style cone of vision, our cone of vision isn't actually that great. Like, we have this sort of blind area here where people can just nip in and out of very easily. This Reinhardt, like, if you think about the engagement distance, if we just draw it on the schematic, like, the enemy team could just run through the Reinhardt barrier relatively easily. So it's very easy for them to close the gap even if they needed to. If they had a Tracer or something, this would just be devastated. If they have a Genji, then Genji can even bounce over this wall and get to us that way. It's bad news bears, right? And so any time that there's like a, you know, like this is a one team fight. This is when you'd be sent, this is when, like, if you watch me play on Dorado or Ryan play on Dorado, this is when we just jump into chat and say, okay guys, reset. And what we mean by okay guys, reset is not go and sit on the payload, we mean go and stand up on top of here. And if you just set up on that high ground as Bastion near the, like, relatively near the edge and just shot down, or if you even set up over here and just shot down into this road, you could do a lot here. And then have Soldier 76 and Roadhog just bouncing around doing work. I think just sitting on top of the payload like this is not using Bastion to his fullest strength, where we're putting ourselves in a position where we can easily be surrounded, easily be, like, reached in melee range and then sort of pushed around. And it's easy for them to bypass the Reinhardt as well. This D.Va completely isolated, not too big of an issue. But you notice, like, that Roadhog got a kill. This Reaper appears out of fucking nowhere and kills everyone. I'm legitimately impressed that... I don't hear him. I'm guessing he crouch walked? I'm guessing? Because I don't hear any stomping, and you just turn around and there's this. I couldn't believe it when I saw this video. I was like, how the frig did he get there? Did he drop? What did he do? How? And then we don't watch the kill cam. It's like that's a kill cam I would genuinely be interested in seeing, because holy shit, he's just like, we're okay. Can't hear any Reapers. And then suddenly there's a Reaper there and he presses Q and kills 2 people. Feels bad, man. TP, we would have heard the TP. There's no way he TP'd there. He just appeared. He was just there. And I don't know how. Oh, hey, Reaper. Oh, hi, Reaper. Tearing me apart, Reaper. Unfortunately, that does give them an opportunity here. And I'd say, like, this, again, remember, positioning is so important as Bastion. Honestly, taking the high ground again wouldn't be too bad. Because we lost a team fight over there, we have enough time to set up to contest this area. So if you think about, and like, just general sort of, I don't know, Overwatch idea. If you think about the second point on Dorado, for example, and the payload route, okay? The payload route is like this, and then you have, like, the capture point here, okay? I like drawing my schematics. Okay, so you have, like, this sort of payload path, right? Let's do that in red. Woo! So this is where the payload goes, and then it gets to here. Okay? If you have your first fight in sort of this area over here, you will have enough time to set up for another fight over here. This is why you'll see teams sometimes do like really aggressive first point defenses, because even on first point, sometimes you will have enough time to take the first fight to then set up for another fight afterwards. And so you generally get 2 fights out of most phases, basically, or out of most points. Normally the first fight in Dorado will actually happen more about here, then you'll still have time usually to set up in one form or another over here still. But definitely, if you've taken a fight here, which is sort of where we took it, we will have enough time to set up for sort of this area. Like, if you see where this payload is, it's about here on the track, and people are out and contesting. So honestly, I would not feel bad, and especially against their team lineup, which has very little vertical mobility. There's no Pharah, there's no Genji, there's nothing really super mobile, except maybe the D.Va, but on one-on-one, we can handle the D.Va. So if instead of going like the route that we went, which you can see sort of here, if we went the other way, if we went out the spawn and then you take a right and then you go up the stairs there and come out on the high ground up here, would be perfectly fine. Because then, especially if they're fighting down here and we just set up here, we can get 1 or 2 kills before they can even react. Coming out here, then we are sort of facing them head on. And if we are coming out here, I'd say we still need to push out relatively aggressively. Do not get sort of stuck and bogged down in this choke point. Try and get out so that you can at least see them coming through this choke point here, or you can see anything coming through here, so that we can take control along sight lines. You might even want to try and just run around in recon mode up on this high ground here. But you can see like this Reaper, for example, is trying to push through this corner. But now that we've broken out, now we can start laying down suppressing fire. Reinhardt just has to stand in front of us, feels good, man. This is where Soldier and Roadhog should be like aggressing on them a bit, because again, we have this no man's land in front of the Bastion, so they can sort of play around. Good swapping onto the Roadhog, just keep that damage out. We know that the Reaper's there, so we change to recon mode, we fight him a bit. Mercy gets absolutely slaughtered. Anna is in no position to do anything. We're powered up. I'm going to be taking it a little bit more patient with these shots. They feel a little bit rushed. So if you aren't aware, just watching at home, perhaps, Bastion tank mode basically works like a rocket launcher in most games. It's very, like, think of it like a Pharah rocket, but it's a lot faster. The projectile is actually extremely quick. It's not hit scan, but it's about the same speed as, say, as a Genji Shuriken. Maybe a smidge faster. It's pretty damn fast. I still recommend, especially if you're nano boosted, like let's say we want to shoot this Reaper. I'd still say apply normal rocket launcher ideas. So don't try and shoot him directly, just try and shoot his feet, and then just blow through. How much does splash damage do? It is relatively tight, but you can still shoot feet and kill people, especially if you are nano boosted. Because each rocket does, I think it's 200 damage on the nose. So a direct hit does 200 damage, and the splash still does 200 damage, like in a small area around it. So even if you shoot someone's feet, you probably still kill them. If you're nano boosted, you will definitely kill them. It might be even more than 200, actually. I'm not sure. 205, there you go. Apparently, what is that in aid of? There's no 200 hit point character with armor, is there? I'm missing something. I love the fact that everyone's so on point with the fucking number anyway. But yeah, you have that little bit of leeway anyway, so don't be afraid to shoot feet. It does work. Believe me, I've tried it. Tank mode is pretty incredible. The thing you gotta remember about tank mode is that you lose DPS. Like overall, so if you're shooting into a barrier, do not go tank mode to try and get more DPS. It doesn't work like that. Turret mode does more damage. Tank mode is a lot better for just bursting targets down, so you notice the Soldier 76 explodes. Ideally, this Reaper probably would have exploded, and this Zenyatta would have exploded as well if we just sort of took our time a little bit instead of blowing up someone's van and then missing the Zenyatta, and then blowing up the truck again, and then missing the Roadhog. Again, these shots feel a bit panicked, a bit rushed. Remember, you have 300 hit points. 300 whole hit points! Plus 50% damage reduction from nano boost. And I think you have Ironclad in tank mode, but I think that caps out at... Does that cap out at 50 now? I think it caps out at 50 now. I'm sure someone will correct me. But yeah. Alright, right now, this is where it gets scary. D.Va ult is still scary for us. Honestly, you wouldn't be too remiss as just turning into a turret here and just trying to shoot. This is a bad res because the point's already been taken. And honestly, you guys just want to set up for the next point. They use sights. It's getting mauled, but hey, Anna's there healing us. For some reason, Anna runs in front of us and gets shot to death. Trying to heal someone out there. Roto comes in, gets the kill. And this is all off the back of like a dodgy res. Caps at 50? Yeah. Thought so. Because I remember it used to go to 70% and it was friggin' ridiculous. I remember watching Star, when we did placements in Season 4, Stylosa tanked a full barrage as Bastion in turret form with the nano boost on him, and he just tanked it and blew. I think he killed the Pharah and a Winston at the same time. Just ridiculous. Good reaction by the soldier. Again, I'd say, like, I see that we were going for it slightly, and then we sort of decided to drop down towards the Orisa. I'd say still, even then, ignore the Orisa. Let the Orisa come to you. The important thing here is to get to that high ground, because honestly, if you're defending here, you have the same problems that I was talking about earlier, where we have this blind corner where people can just run around it and get into us nice and quickly, and especially with an Orisa. And if they have any kind of mobility, they're just going to flank around us. Also, they can just come this angle. If you're up here, for example, or on the bridge, then it's so much harder for them to flank you. It's so much harder for them to get near, and we can just gun them down, no problem. I'm perfectly fine with us hunting down this guy in recon mode, though. You notice how good recon mode is. Like, landing a couple of headshots is pretty fucking strong. I'd say with recon mode, like, the bloom is pretty aggressive. You have a very small clip size as well, but it's a really, really powerful way of fighting. And honestly, like, being used to fighting in it is not a bad idea. This tank, I'd say, is unnecessary, and this is just, like, D.Va bait. I'd be very wary of doing this. So let's talk about something that's actually quite important, which is the idea of how to deal with D.Va. Because their team lineup is pretty good at dealing with Bastion, unfortunately for us. Like they don't have anything to really flank around us or like out mobility us, but they do have the D.Va and the Roadhog to sort of mess with us a lot. They don't have any barriers for them to hide behind, at least, so we can play around that. And the way we play around that is by trying to drain as much defense matrix as we can. And so if you've ever played D.Va, well, I imagine most of you have, you've probably been in the situation where you use a lot of defense matrix and suddenly you just are constantly like using it a tiny bit. Thank you, Dr. Hoot Cakes, as well for the fresh sub. Beautiful to have you on board. Welcome to the mini. But yeah, you end up like with very, very small amount of defense matrix. You can maybe catch the occasional shot, and that's about it. That to me is sort of the noob trap, I suppose, of D.Va. And the way you sort of beat divas is you try and exploit that behavior. The way you do that is by you just shoot her, and honestly, you don't even have to shoot her consistently. You can just sort of feather shots into her and just try and force her to keep that defense matrix up. Use regular abilities to do it, and then when you start noticing that she has to bring the defense matrix down for longer, that's when you know you have your opening. And so even if she has, you know, she's in mech, if you go tank mode, at most she will then catch a single shot, and then you can just start killing and killing and killing and killing. And you'll start getting value out of the back for that. Really don't like the decision to run away when we get the I don't like the res here anyway, to be honest. I don't like the positioning of the team in general, to be completely blunt. I think this team's got a lot of problems defending the final point. I'm sure somewhere out there, our good friend Artie, Soldier Main, defender of the high ground, is furious because we should be playing around this high ground. Like, it's partially on Orisa as well, to know, like we covered on the Orisa coaching the many. Orisa needs to know where to position because she is so immobile. This is not where you position. You need to be up on this high ground, setting up there so that the team can set up there and play around that, and so that you can just shoot down without having to worry about too much. Setting up here on the low ground, especially against a Roadhog and a Diva, is just giving them easy ways to close in, and is even giving opportunities to stuff like this Reaper. Who's taking out both DPS, which you notice now one of them is a Hanzo. Honestly, Hanzo mixed in here is necessarily a bad thing. If like everyone is focused on the Bastion, then Hanzo can get a lot done, but still. Timeless has got a new battle cry due to Artie. Honor, justice, high ground, high ground, high ground! I totally believe in that. High ground's important. It's good. It's pretty good. But you notice that because this Diva was never burned down in terms of defense matrix, you can just put the defense matrix on top of us and block us. Mercy picks up just us, and then we're sort of forced into running. We get very low, but honestly, once the nano boost hits us, I would be looking to just turn around and fight a bit. And the reason why is, like, running this little bit of extra distance. So conventional thought is that if we run this way and we just keep running this way, and they can kill us, we die anyway. But because there is an Ana, a Mercy, and ourselves, and heal boost, and nano boost, we are so tanky at the moment, it is like... I can't imagine what could kill us outside of Deadeye. And maybe a headshot from Widowmaker. Like, we are healing Transcendence levels of healing at the moment. Because we have plus 50% healing. We have the 55 or like 50 heal per second of Mercy. We have the like 80 heal per second, 90 heal per second of Ana. We have the, I think it's like 30 or something heal per second of us, might be even more than that. All of it increased by 50%. On taking 50%, like it's fucking ridiculous. We just it's insane how tanky we are at the moment. So we could have just turned around and fought then without too much problem. Like, even with the Discord on us, we are fucking fine. Like, you see the healing Zenyatta's doing? It's friggin' nothing. Bastion's heal is faster than Mercy healing. Jesus. Ridiculous. And so, honestly, we could have just turned around and fought. I think there would be zero problem with us doing that. These are some better Bastion rockets. Oh, you got him. Feels good, man. This is not the place to set up. Oh, Lord, no. Oh, Lord, no. So this is fine if you got a Reinhardt. You don't have a Reinhardt. We got an Orisa. Let's see what Orisa's doing. Yeah, she's just stood there and she's gonna watch us fucking die. I thought Mercy heals about 40 seconds, about 50 a second. I think Winston is like 55 or 54 DPS per second, or DPS per second. DPS. It's barely. It's so marginal. Put a Diva bomb behind us, no problem. But you notice that we're having a lot of problems where it's like we're going into turret mode and then we're just instantly dying. And that's partially because we're just not in the right place. We're not in the right places where we can actually afford to just stay in turret mode long enough, and also be supported by the team. And it's not like the team is failing us here. It's more that our positioning is just leaving us in places where the Reaper can get to us, where the Diva can just sit on us. Where if the Diva's tunneling us and just putting defense matrix on us, the enemy team has enough time to just close in the gap and kill us. And so we're allowing that kind of to happen instead of just slowly burning through it all.
Select your hero.
And with the fancy new headset, it's not that fancy. I'm wearing it in one ear.